Hello everyone, this is Many Ninjas. This is the next episode of the Bootleg Breakdown series, where it's actually more of a follow-up episode in this case, because, as you can see, we have the returning Majin Vegeta bootleg, based off the SH Figuarts of the same sign. Here's the bootleg Goku from the last episode, and much like Goku, we're going to tear this bit of rubbish apart. Now, for those that didn't catch my original episode in it, one second as I move around the bootleg stand in the background, because there's nothing authentic that's on screen right now, except my hands, of course. But for those that didn't catch the last episode, this horribly wibbly-wobbly mess of a figure needs a stand in order to stand up, because with how bad the hips are, and torso, and most things in general, if being quite honest, no, it cannot stand on its own. And, well, since it doesn't really have a good leg to stand on, or hips, or anything for that matter, as you can kind of see there, let's just take those legs off, and let's begin to break down with the easiest bits here. So starting off with legs. In terms of the physical appearance, you can see it's a cheap version of the joint, exact same as the Goku. The ankles are the exact same kind of heel as well. Oddly enough, the knee joints are a bit on the tight side. They're actually a good fit, but I can't say the same about the joints on the toes there. Probably the same sort of fix that was used for Goku could fix that, but I digress. And speaking of loose things, that little bit of plastic you see in my hand there, yeah, that's the knee cover that's in there. There's actually nothing but a little bit of pressure that was actually holding that thing in place, so it's easy enough to go right back in. You just push it right back in, but if you want to stay there permanently, you're going to need to take a little glue to that later. Which is what I could say a little more about some of the other things. Let's get those legs out of the way. And we can see from there, yeah, aside from the plastic shell being a little bit different, the hips there are exactly the same as what you kind of see in terms of construction that we had on Goku. And if it sounds like I'm repeating myself, it's with good reason. Yeah, once we remove that bit and look at the upper torso, it's looking very, very similar in terms of construction here. Let's pop off Vegeta's head in this case. Head and neck comes off, and yep, everything is looking almost exactly the same as what we saw on the Saiyan Raised on Earth bootleg. Down to, let's just see if we can get a better angle in here. Yep, there's the screw in there even. Yeah, in terms of construction, it's almost exactly the same. And I imagine once we remove these arms, starting off with lefty here, yeah, kind of the same kind of rubbery plastic. Solid enough pieces, but yeah, there's that weird shoulder joint again. And if we look on the other side, just for the sake of completion in this case, yep, exact same thing. That is kind of a weird shoulder joint that's supposed to be like a really cheap version of the butterfly joint. And if we look at the hips again, yeah, it's that weird 1.0 style hip section or hip jointage, but it's just an incredibly loose version, just probably because the little bottom part of the hips, in my case, is a little separated. And the middle torso there, extremely shiny, as well as one chunk of kind of a rubberized plastic or resin. So yeah, if it sounds like I'm repeating myself a lot from the last video, it's because I honestly am. And once we break apart this torso, we're going to kind of see just how far that goes here. Of course, getting the actual torso open is a bit of a tricky bit. The one thing they did set up correctly is adhering these things properly, or at least enough so that it's an incredible pain to split the torso. So just give me a second, I'm going to take this thing off camera a bit, and we're going to do it off camera one way or another. And we're back at this point. And now that we have it apart, lo and behold, if that part looks familiar, it's with good reason. Once again, it was being held in that one little circular bit, or the kind of weird ball joint system was holding the shoulder bits in place. It was being held to the back by a single screw. And if this sounds, once again, I'm sorry, apologies that I'm repeating myself so much, because if it sounds like the same like the Saiyan Raised on Earth, it's because it's literally the same piece as the Saiyan Raised on Earth. If you're wondering why those shoulders were so extended, it's because it was made to fit the same general body as Goku, which is physically taller or physically wider than Vegeta was, but they're using the exact same innards. It's literally minus the little shoulder bits, because I took those from the Saiyan Raised on Earth. It's literally the same piece of plastic, exact same casting, exact same skin tone and everything. Because it's one and the same. They just use the same bits in order to fill in the bodies there. So if you're wondering why it isn't fitting properly on the shoulder, in terms of Vegeta, that's the reason why. It's actually made to fit a larger body like Goku, so the shoulders won't fit quite right. And that's exactly where those weird little blue plastic bits you see kind of come in play. they're supposed to replace the... In hindsight, I wish I had recorded a bit with me putting the front part of the torso right back on there. But, 1 second, at least I made sure I thankfully did review the side. Let's get the side peg back on there. And if we slip the shoulder bit, you can see everything kind of sticks out of the socket in this case. And the only way to really fix that particular bit is to physically shrink the tag in the peg inside the body, and also sand out parts of the little back shoulder there in order to actually make it slip in properly. And speaking of things that don't fit, here's the foot peg again in this case. I'm just doing a kind of a quick cut in order to get to this point, just because it's almost literally the same thing as we saw with the original, with the Saiyan Raised on Earth video, the very last video. Only that in this case, the boot is made out of a much more solid piece of plastic than Goku's rubbery shoes were. Which also makes getting the actual foot bit a lot harder to get out. I wasn't actually able to do it during the course of this video. But generally speaking, it'd be the exact same kind of long stem fit up that we had from the last one. And speaking of fitting, just something that I didn't mention necessarily on Goku's video, but just to mention here, if you're trying to get the head in order to fit onto another main or real Vegeta body, it's not going to be a proper fit in this case, because the weird ball peg they use in there, especially the peg that should connect to the body, does not match what you find in a real figure, unfortunately. Same with the neck joint, unfortunately. I think the only things that have been proven to be able to be transferable in one way or another are the actual face plates themselves, which, once again, I repeat, they're not bad in terms of it. They're not perfectly applied, but it's sad that that's literally the only one saving grace of this figure. Alright, and in terms of the breakdown, that's all I really need to say, because this has so many of the same issues as the Saiyan Raised on Earth. There's almost nothing else new that I can say on here. I can only repeat one particular thing, though. If you've seen this or the other video, the only lesson you really need to know is don't buy this. If you're looking to find kind of a cheap fill-in version because the real version of the Majin Vegeta is expensive, well, guess what? This doesn't work. It literally can't even stand on its own. Don't buy this. If you're looking to get this figure in order to use it for bits for customization or kit bashing with another one, short of having an exact same bootleg like Goku in this case, they use the same structure, it doesn't work in that function either. Please don't buy this. There is almost no redeeming factor to this particular figure. Save your money. There is no saving here. You're not saving $60 buying this thing. You're burning 20 or so bucks on a figure that doesn't work. Yeah, I think that I got that out of my system. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and catch y'all later.